Do you know what it takes to build a champion? Ask yourself, deep down, are you able to turn to any franchise and direct them to what moves they need to make in order to win? Well, you would be better than most front offices in the league today. The annual spending spree NFL clubs participate in, that is popping off right now as we speak, and comes around every March, in hopes of getting the best players money can buy. Then we have the April draft, which is like the second Super Bowl for most fans and media. The selection of the best college football players gives teams a new lease on life, so they think. Now, our debate on which one is more sound investment has been a battle since 1992. We need to unravel which one is truly money well spent. Chapter 1, where it all started. The NFL draft started February 8th, 1936, making it 56 years older than free agency. To the league, players, and fans, free agency is still a fairly new concept in terms of team building strategy. The draft has been a reliable way for teams to get younger and cheaper since the 2011 CBA imposed a rookie wage scale, which, if you ask the league, helps veteran players get more money after proving how good they are. Yeah, okay. Even though that leads to those players becoming veterans and asking for more money once they're eligible for their second contract. It works, I guess. Proven talent versus unproven talent. Which one do you pay? Well, that decision came to a head September 24th, 1992, as a U.S. District Judge, Dave Doty, awarded 4 players the right to become unrestricted free agents for 5 days. In 1993, eligible veteran players were now able to negotiate with any team for a new contract, thus the first glimpse of what we know today as free agency. Between the draft and free agency, teams have plenty of options of obtaining the best talent in an effort to become champs. While both have their pros and cons, NFL teams have to use a combination of both in order to win. Take the reigning champion Philadelphia Eagles. Roughly 60% of the Eagles roster were original draft picks of the team. 14 of those players were starters, 7 starters were free agent signings or acquired through trade. Most notably, Defensive Player of the Year candidate Zach Bond had a breakout 2024 season and led the Eagles defense to dominance in his first year with the team. And we all know Saquon Barkley went crazy. The Offensive Player of the Year tipped the scales of winning in the Eagles' favor all year. Leading the league in rushing with over 2,000 yards, Barkley goes down as one of the best free agent signings in league history.
Everything is so much easier if you just stick your draft picks. When you stick them, free agency is a bonus.
But which one benefited teams the most, especially those that did what the Eagles accomplished? Chapter 2, Homegrown. Looking at the draft, you're going to find hits and misses, for sure. Every franchise has them. Most clubs will have a good majority of the roster made up of players they originally drafted.
You have your whole foundation.
These players are the backbone of the team, mostly because they're going to make up the core players on the roster, and they'll be a direct reflection of the team the coaches and front office wanted to build. While plenty of teams have core pieces, the roster is never truly complete without having to spend a little money, right? Whether you have to re-sign your guys, let them test the market, the bill is going to come due at some point for every player on the roster. How this is managed makes or breaks these great teams. Keep the last 9 Super Bowl winners, excluding the Eagles. You'll see how impactful drafted players have been to building the roster and what free agent signings have contributed to the team. On average, 51% of each of these teams' rosters were players drafted by the team. But we see the free agents the team traded, signed, or re-signed onto the roster made a significant impact on the team's success. Something that is important to highlight, only one team, the 2020 Bucks, had a player that was not drafted win a Super Bowl MVP. Chapter 3, bringing in reinforcements. Besides a broken system of the draft where you finish last but then get the pick first, free agency can be a quicker fix to teams' needs. This approach has not always led to winning for teams, especially ones that spend big bread on free agents. Except for the 2016 Jaguars, the team that spent the most money in free agency increased their win total by at least 3 wins in the following season. However, 7 of those 8 teams saw their win total decrease in the following season. Of the top 3 spenders in each free agent class, only 2, the 2017 Jags and the 2019 Packers, reached the conference championship that same year. None of them reached the Super Bowl the same season. Only 4 of the teams that have spent the most money in free agency have gone to make the playoffs in the same year over the last 10 seasons. From what we can gather, free agency nor the draft are solely going to get you on top of the food chain. So what are you telling us? Why are teams getting free agency so wrong? Well, head to head, the draft is clearly the foundation of any team, so it wins in that regard. But this is where you should get the best players on your team. 10 of the last 11 Super Bowl MVPs have been drafted by the same franchise. Free agency is where you fill the holes, hopefully, with the best players in the league. It's like buying a house. You go to the real estate agent to get the crib, then you get the contractors to make sure the crib look right and everything's good. Both play their part, but one is not more important than the other. That is the same balance that teams have to do in the draft versus free agency. Balance is critical to maintaining a winning program. Free agency isn't bad in its nature, but teams have gotten so used to spending big money in efforts to microwave success or to cover up the mistakes they made in the draft.
It's so hard if you whiff.
The New York Jets select tight end from Penn State, Kyle Brady. The biggest mockery I've ever seen in my entire life.
And that is where the trouble lies. The moral of the story is build the foundation and spend well on the fixtures. Go check out my breakdown on a potential foundational player entering the 2025 draft.
Probably just the best overall player.
I'll talk to you on the next one, fam. Peace.